Good day everyone. I am Carlo B. Espiritu from BSC 1-4 and I am here to discuss my assigned theory which is relative deprivation theory and general stain theory. And now, this is the objectives of our discussion. Number 1, learn and define relative deprivation theory and general stain theory. Number 2, relate the concept of relative deprivation theory and general strain theory in everyday life. Number 3, give examples of relative deprivation theory and general strain theory on real-life scenario. So, let us move on relative deprivation theory. First, let us define what is relative deprivation theory. Relative deprivation theory is an idea that people frequently believe they have less than some comparison ideal. It is usually pertains to deprivation of concrete objects such as money and material things as well as intangible items like social titles, rights, and even respect that may cause criminal motivation to do violence and crimes. So in relative deprivation theory, it simply means that this is the deprivation of objects or intangible objects to a certain person, especially on the lower class, because they believe that they have less opportunity than in the people lying in the higher class of the society.
For example, Manila is a densely populated area where commercial buildings, BPO companies, and skyscrapers are all around. The living standards are high given that this is the capital of our country, so that job opportunities and qualifications are also high. The entry level to get a sustainable and stable job is at least college graduate or with experience on that particular job. As a result, despite of more opportunities than countryside, many people have little to no job at all since the qualifications are high. People, especially in the marginalized sector of the community, felt deprived to work in high-end jobs due to their backgrounds and stand in the hierarchy of the community.
So these people lying in the marginalized sector of the community are deprived to get a sustainable job and stable job because they have no educational background, so that this is the result of their deprivation. So this is the relative deprivation theory in real life scenario. Number 1, people of the marginalized sector of the community, especially because they are the ones who experience the deprivation and as a result they commit crimes. Number 2, minimum wage earners, because they are paid by their companies um, despite their skills and experience in their fields. Number 3, state of the farmers or the circumstances of the farmers, because their crops are bought by the government in a cheap price. So they experience deprived because even though their crops are good enough, the government bought it in a cheap price. Number 4, rights of individuals, especially. Number 5, capability of individuals. Now, let us move on the pioneers of relative deprivation theory. Number 1, Judith Hope R. Blau. Judith Blau was an American sociologist who proposed the relative deprivation theory, where it pertains to the division between rich and poor people in a society that can build envy and mistrust. Number 2, Peter Michael M. Blau. Peter Blau was an American sociologist and he also proposed the relative deprivation theory together with his wife Judith Blau. They believe that social status of a person can lead to criminality, especially to the person who lying in lower class status. Number 3, Samuel Stauffer. Samuel Stauffer was an American sociologist, developed the relative deprivation theory, and introduced in his 1948 book entitled The American Soldiers. He studied the behavior of American soldiers fighting in World War II. He also coined the term relative deprivation.
As you observe, Peter and Judith Blau focus more on the division of the community or society where lower class individuals felt deprived and inferior than the higher class individuals, while Samuel Stauffer focused on the events on World War II where he believed that the frontline men are felt deprived on promotion than the officers in the headquarters. Now, let us talk about relative deprivation theory in everyday living. A while ago, we talked about relative deprivation theory in real-life scenario. Now, let us talk about in everyday living. Number one, usage of gadgets among siblings. It is based on the chronological order of the siblings where if you are old enough, you have the privilege to use your gadgets as long as you want. But if you are young, you have 2 to 3 hours to use it. Together with the hangout of siblings based on the standings in family, you have the rights and privileges if you are old enough. Number 3, money based on needs and age of individuals. For example, in family, if you are old, you have less in expenses. But if your family has a baby, expected that the baby has the highest expenses among of his or her siblings, especially on his diapers and milks. Number 4, gender roles in society, which we believe that masculine things are done by men and feminine things should be done by female.
And next, how to manage relative deprivation theory. Number one, first and foremost, respect towards individual because in respect, we can earn things, we can build a world that unite each of everyone. Number two, open-mindedness. Number three, ability to understand changes, especially now in gender roles. Number four, embrace each of everyone's personality because you cannot change them. You cannot change their personality so that you should embrace it. Something like that. So, are we done in relative deprivation theory? So, let us move on to general strain theory. General strain theory. An idea refers to some people respond to life's different challenges by undesirable coping techniques, such as turning to crime. It is how people react on the stressors and what coping mechanisms are they going to do.
General strain theory simply means that how individuals reacts to the struggles and challenges that came to his or her life and what solutions they are going to do.
The Menendez siblings, a famous murder case in US where they murdered their own mother and father in their home in California, USA. So these are their pictures and before the and after. This case is famous because these siblings, the Menendez siblings, murdered their mother and father because their father molested them multiple times, raped them, and when they tell to their mother that they are being raped by their mother didn't believe them, so that they murdered them while sleeping.
Different sources of strains. Number 1. Failure to achieve positive goals. Happens when a person expect or aspire for something good like wealth or fame, but due to lack of opportunity to use, the goal seems impossible to achieve. For more clarity, let's pertains to this example. Since childhood, you always wanted to be a heart surgeon, but you ended up a teacher in kindergarten because your parents wants to have a teacher in your family. For simple explanation, sources of strain number 1 simply means that you have the goal to achieve but you don't have the means to do it. You consider some factors and circumstances to do your goal but you fail to achieve it. Number 2, disjunction of expectations and achievements. This happened when a person compared him or herself to another who seems doing great in financial or academic than him or her. Example pertains to example number 1. Because you're a kindergarten teacher, you expected less income than your high school friends who achieve their goals and become medical technologists, neurosurgeon, physician, and radiologist. In this, you simply compare yourself to one another who is doing fine and great in their fields and life. Next on the list is removal of positive valued stimuli. Happen when a person lost the source of his or her means of happiness and try to prevent the loss or redeem what has been lost. Example, you experience heartbreak in your first year college because your girlfriend or boyfriend cheated on you. So as a revenge or redemption for your loss, you make other men and women fall in love to you and also break their hearts.
So it is all about revenge because something happened to you, um, especially bitter moments, breaking moments, sad, agony.
The last source of strain is presentation of negative stimuli. This happens when a person is experiencing negative such as treatment on his or her surroundings. Example, your professor tells you words that you think it is unacceptable and you felt degraded and belittled in a faculty together with your other professors. Because of that, you breaks his car windshield and put dents on it. And the best example in this source of strain is the case of the Menendez siblings. We all know that our home is place for love and comfortable, but they didn't feel that way. So that as a response in the presentation of negative stimuli that they experienced, they committed that act that commits a crime.
So we are done in the sources of strains. Let's move on to the pioneer of general stain theory, who is Robert Agnew. Robert Agnew, born in December 1, 1953 in Atlantic City, New Jersey, USA. He was the Samuel Candler Dobbs Professor of Sociology at Emory University and past president of the American Society of Criminology. He formulated Robert Merton's strain theory, which he believed that a negative affective states can drive to criminality. Um, as a relation on King Merton's strain theory, this general strain theory of Robert Agnew is the updated and more broad version of strain theory of King Merton's. And that's all. Hope you understand and thank you all.